But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but no, this is a progressive African-American owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but he doesn't think you can win. What do you say?
If politics teaches us anything, it's that the people you call friends can sometimes hit you harder than your opponents. Gavin Newsom just got a taste of that, because when even Bill Maher, a guy who once openly admired him, starts tearing into your leadership, it's a clear sign your career is on shaky ground. And this wasn't some casual swipe either. This was Maher unleashing a flamethrower on the California governor's polished reputation, blasting him on live TV without a second thought. The harsh part? Maher didn't just criticize Newsom's policies. He targeted his image, his drive, and boiled his entire legacy down to one painfully shallow remark. He looks like he could do.
Gavin Newsom is the governor of California, home to 12% of all Americans and 50% of all Mexicans. On the upside, Newsom is the only governor, with the possible exception of Kristi Noem, who looks like they could do.
Ouch. Imagine being the governor of the most powerful state in the nation, only to have your greatest achievement summed up as, well, at least you're attractive. But let's be honest, doesn't that reveal everything about Newsom's leadership? California holds more wealth, more resources, and more innovation than almost anywhere on the planet. Yet under his watch, it's become the poster child for everything wrong with progressive politics. Homelessness is spiraling. Crime is rising. Companies are leaving in droves. And taxes are high enough to drain your wallet dry. Instead of addressing any of that, Newsom's big headline move is gender-neutral toy aisles. You couldn't script this if you tried. And this is where Bill Maher really struck a nerve. He compared being governor of California to being Britney Spears' conservator. Translation.
I don't want to say he really wants to be the guy who steps in if the current nominee goes down, but he gets an alert on his phone every time Biden can't think of a word. The downside is that governor of California is kind of like being conservator for Britney Spears.
It's basically a never-ending disaster that no one wants to take ownership of. That's not just a joke, it's a full-on body slam. When leading one of the wealthiest states in the world gets compared to managing a celebrity meltdown, you know something is seriously off. But let's break it down. Because Maher wasn't just tossing out jokes, he was exposing the reality most Californians already see. Take homelessness, for instance. California has practically rolled out the red carpet for it. Free services, lenient laws, and almost no enforcement on street camping. It's basically an open invitation. And surprise, when you make living on the streets comfortable, more people choose the streets. Instead of enforcing a tough, realistic approach, Newsom's policies have turned sidewalks into tent cities and neighborhoods into outdoor shelters. Compassion became chaos, absolutely.
Attack him on California's homeless problem, but there's a response to that. The homeless can live anywhere, but they choose California.
And the crime situation? Same story. California has turned into a safe haven, not for law-abiding citizens, but for criminals. Break into a store and you might get little more than a slap on the wrist. Loot thousands in merchandise and chances are you'll be back on the streets the very same day. That's not justice. That's lawlessness dressed up as progress. And while politicians like Newsom are busy congratulating themselves for being compassionate, ordinary residents are stuck dealing with the fallout rising crime, unsafe neighborhoods, and a collapsing quality of life. But here's the kicker. California isn't just bleeding from crime and homelessness. It's bleeding people. Major companies, high-profile names, and regular middle-class families are packing up and leaving. And they're not slipping out quietly, they're running. Elon Musk, gone. Joe Rogan, gone. Countless businesses, gone. Why? Because Newsom's economic agenda has made the state unlivable for anyone outside the billionaire bubble. Sky-high taxes, endless regulations, and suffocating costs of living have gutted the middle class. California used to be the land of opportunity. Now it's the land of escape. And the irony couldn't be harsher. California should be the model of prosperity. With its wealth, natural beauty, entertainment industry, and tech power, it should be leading the nation. Instead, it stands as the cautionary tale of what happens when slick speeches replace real leadership. And Maher, of all people, is now saying out loud what millions already think. Gavin Newsom is all style, no substance. That's the thing about Newsom.
Of course, the knock on Gavin has always been that he's slick. Yeah, you know what? I'm okay with that. I notice slick is something no one has been accusing Biden of lately. Do you want good at talking or don't you? Newsom is the best communicator in the party with a history of standing up to bullies, and his name lends itself to the best slogan since I Like Ike. I'm having Gavin.
He's slick. He's charismatic. He's polished. He's basically a walking campaign ad, and for a while that was enough. He could charm a crowd, deliver speeches that felt like Hollywood scripts, and dodge tough questions with a smile. But here's the catch. Charm doesn't build affordable housing. Slick lines don't bring crime down. A handsome face doesn't stop businesses from leaving the state. At some point, leadership requires more than being photogenic and good at spin. And guess who's starting to notice? Voters. Not just Republicans, Democrats, too. Bill Maher even told a story about appearing on a progressive African-American-owned radio station where the host flat out said Newsom was too progressive to win a national election. That criticism isn't coming from the GOP. It's coming from Newsom's own political allies.
I was on KBLA yesterday, with my friend Tavis Smiley. I'm an investor and a supporter of that station. And he said, who do you want to run for president? I mentioned, I think you'd be good at the job. Not this year, we know. No, I know. But he said, I don't think he could win. I don't think he could win. He's too progressive coming from this state and what he's done in this state to win in any southern state, any red state. I disagreed, but no, this is a progressive African-American-owned station, and I'm sure they like you, but doesn't think you...
When your biggest supporters start calling you unelectable, you've got a serious problem. And here's the reality: Newsom knows it. That's why he's constantly trying to frame himself as the guy who can swoop in if Biden stumbles. He's desperate for the presidency, no matter how much he denies it. But deep down, even he has to face the truth. If he can't run California, what makes him think he can run America? And then there's the woke circus. This is where Newsom really loses people. Bill Maher nailed it when he mocked California's law forcing toy stores with more than 500 employees to create gender-neutral sections.
Look at the swing states. There's only 8 of them.
Right. Well, I mean, California is an interesting case study, isn't it? It's the size of 21 state populations combined.
Yeah.
2/3 of state is very deeply red. We don't need to be lectured on rural politics or border issues. I mean, in so many ways, these are familiar issues, and the issues of the heartland of the United States are very much a part and parcel of the work we're doing in this state. But look, I understand this notion that you're from the coast, you don't understand those things. You can't talk the language. You're not able to communicate. And you're not able to actually encourage and find that common ground.
No, it's stuff like there's a new law in this. I think we have way too many regulations and laws, as we've talked about. And this one, I think, says if you're a department store with over 500 employees, you have to have a gender-neutral toy department.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah, I get it.
Seriously, this is what the government chooses to spend time and energy on, while homelessness spirals and crime rises, because apparently kids can't just play with toys anymore. They have to make a political statement while doing it. It's laughable. It's tone-deaf. And it's exactly why voters across the country roll their eyes at politicians like Newsom. Think about it. Families are struggling to pay rent. Neighborhoods are grappling with rising crime. Small businesses are shutting down under the weight of taxes and regulations. And Newsom's big contribution? Making sure Barbie and Hot Wheels share the same shelf. This isn't leadership. This is pandering to the woke mob at the expense of real solutions.
Too much government there.
That's an interesting one, because the department stores came to us supporting that. And they were the ones making a case for that. They were making a case they're already moving in that direction.
Wanted you to make a law about them?
Well, but they supported the legislation. It wasn't legislation that was enacted, that was initiated from my office, but it was legislation that came up with interesting support from the industry itself. But I understand how that's exploited, and good people can disagree. But that's not something we woke up and said, this is a top priority for the state, when we know what the top priorities are: homelessness, housing, the issues of crime, quality of life, and issues related to regulation and taxes, which are all top of mind.
And then there's the water issue. Oh man, this one would be comical if it weren't so serious. Nearly 80% of California's water is consumed by agriculture, and a massive portion of that goes into growing almonds. Do you know how much water it takes to produce a single pound of almonds? Over 900 gallons.
And good job this year making it rain.
You're welcome. That was, yeah.
Because
that was my legislative priority.
it was looking bad there for a while, and we still don't have enough water in the Colorado River and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then whenever I read, 80% of the water goes to agriculture. Almonds.
Right.
No one ever asked you about almonds? Oh, I'm going to ask you about almonds.
That's the real theme here. Newsom is a master at looking like he's doing something while actually accomplishing nothing. He knows all the buzzwords. He can give a speech that makes you feel like progress is happening. But take a look around California. Do you see progress or do you see decline? Words don't fix broken systems. Action does. And action is exactly what Newsom has failed to deliver. And here's where it gets alarming. Some people actually want this guy to be president. Think about that. The man who turned California into a cautionary tale now wants to take his act nationwide. But if California is the model, then America better brace itself. Because it's not a blueprint for success, it's a blueprint for decline.
We grow a boatload of almonds.
I'm well
here.
aware.
You know how much water it takes?
Many gallons.
1,900 gallons to grow a pound of almonds. Yeah. Come on, man. take on big almond.
Take on big almonds.
I mean, it's not like we don't have the water.
No.
But
you're right about it. It's not that we don't have the water. That said, the last couple of years were tough. I mean, but it's also where the water's falling and we're not capturing it. And we're not capturing in those extreme years with these atmospheric rivers. Wets are getting a lot wetter, dry's drier, hot's getting a lot hotter. And so we've got to modernize our conveyance system. We've got to modernize our storage, not just above ground, but below ground. And so that's a big part of our focus and frame, including desalinization plants. We have 20 projects just on desal that we're working on today. So we put out a detailed water strategy that includes, by the way, getting that Delta Conveyance project back up and operational, and includes the first above ground off stream storage facility in half a century in the state, which, by the way, is being aided by a regulatory package I pushed forward to reduce red tape in the state of California.
you're good at this.
What?
See, I'm telling you, you're good at this job. Okay, but here's, I feel like the last couple of years you've purposely picked this fight with the red states. I mean, the DeSantis. Yeah, but I don't want to live in the Civil War country.
I agree with that.
You know what?
Well,
but you seem like you purposely want to set up this dichotomy between, this is a blue state and that's a red state. Yeah. And I don't want to live in that country. I like Florida.
I'm with you. And by the way, I like Florida as well. I like all these states. I completely agree. I don't want to have a state of mind that's a constant fight or flight. We've gone through so much. We've been polarized and traumatized. There's been a tough 5-6 years across the globe, not just in this country. That said, I'm not going to sit back and watch. You made the point just a moment ago in your monologue. You got folks out there trying to bring us back to a pre-1960s world. America in reverse, rolling back voting rights, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, not just access to abortion, but contraception.
Under Newsom, California isn't leading the way forward. It's serving as a warning of what happens when woke politics, slick speeches, and empty promises run the show. And if America makes the mistake of elevating him to the White House, we won't just inherit California's problems, we'll inherit them on a national scale. Bill Maher summed it up perfectly. Newsom is slick. He's a great communicator. But underneath it all, there's nothing there. Just illusion, just performance, just words. And in a time when Americans are desperate for real solutions, that's not leadership, it's a disaster in designer suits. So here's the bottom line. If even Bill Maher, one of his former cheerleaders, is calling him out, maybe it's time for the rest of America to wake up too. California isn't thriving, it's breaking. And Gavin Newsom's leadership is a big reason why. Do we really want to take that gamble on the national stage? What do you think? Is Gavin Newsom the future of the Democratic Party? Or just another slick-talking politician with great hair and zero results? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you want more. No BS breakdowns like this. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's coming next.